History isn't written by the dead, it's rewritten by the living. But sometimes the truth buried beneath centuries refuses to stay hidden. We believe historical mysteries are solved by textbooks and museums. But the darkest historical mysteries were never meant to be found. 3 chapters of human history so disturbing that scholars still debate whether we should have unearthed them at all. London, 1483. 2 young boys, royal bloodline, and a historical mysteries case that has shadowed the English throne for over 500 years. Prince Edward V and his brother Richard were placed in the Tower of London under the protection of their uncle, the future King Richard III. They entered the tower, alive, watched, seen by guards and courtiers. And then ... they vanished. No bodies were ever found. No official records of their deaths, no explanations. For centuries, this historical mysteries case remained legend, speculation, lost history. Until 1674, workers renovating the tower discovered human remains buried beneath a staircase. 2 small skeletons, aged approximately matching the young princes. DNA analysis wouldn't exist for centuries. Forensics wouldn't develop for generations. But historians understood immediately they had found them. The question became darker. Who murdered them? And why was their death covered up so thoroughly that it took nearly 200 years to discover the bodies? Was it their uncle? A rival claimant? A political enemy? Modern analysis suggests the bones belonged to children of the right age, from the right period, in the right location. But here's what makes this historical mysteries case eternally haunting. We may never know for certain. The bones have since been lost. The DNA testing was never completed. The official records were destroyed. All that remains is a mystery buried in the foundation of a palace, waiting for a truth that may never be fully known. Ural Mountains, Soviet Union, February 1959. A hiking expedition, 9 experienced mountaineers, and a historical mystery so bizarre that official investigations were classified for decades. The group set out to summit Mount Otorten. Routine expedition. Cold, but manageable for trained climbers. When they didn't return on schedule, search parties were dispatched. What they found defies explanation in this historical mysteries case. The tent had been cut open from the inside, not violently, deliberately, as if the hikers needed to escape urgently. Scattered in the snow, the bodies of the 9 climbers, spread across vast distances, arranged in bizarre patterns. Some were naked despite sub-zero temperatures. Others showed signs of high-velocity trauma injuries consistent with intense force. One victim's tongue was missing. Another's eyes were gone. Not decomposed, surgically removed. The most chilling detail, their final camp showed no signs of struggle. No evidence of bears. No tracks of intruders. They had fled voluntarily into the frozen wilderness. To their deaths, the official Soviet investigation concluded. Forces of nature unknown to science. Declassified files later revealed investigators believed something forced them from the tent. Something that terrified them so completely that freezing to death was preferable to remaining inside. But what theories abound in this historical mysteries case? Avalanche. Military testing. Yeti. Extraterrestrial encounter. Mass hallucination. But the truth remains frozen in the Ural Mountains, buried beneath decades of secrecy and snow. One surviving hiker's diary entry found after the incident read, "Something knocked on the tent. We couldn't see it. We could only feel it." What knocked on that tent remains one of history's greatest historical mysteries. Scotland, 1900. A remote island. 3 lighthouse keepers, and a historical mysteries case that still haunts maritime history. The Eilean Mear Lighthouse stood on a desolate Scottish isle, accessible only by sea. 3 experienced keepers maintained the light. They rotated duties. They were supplied monthly. In December 1900, a relief ship arrived with supplies. The lighthouse was dark. The keepers were gone. But here's where this historical mysteries becomes deeply disturbing. The door was locked from the inside. The beds were made. Dinner plates sat on the table, half-eaten food still present, as if they had just stepped away moments before. One chair lay overturned. A window was open, despite the island being surrounded by 100-foot cliffs and violent sea. The logbook meticulously maintained by the keepers contained entries for the day of their disappearance. The final entry, written hours before they vanished, read, "Sea lock, stormy. Wind northeast, everything else normal." And then the entry simply stopped. No goodbye, no explanation, no hint of what was coming. Search parties found no bodies, no evidence of rescue attempts, no logical explanation. In this historical mysteries case, 3 experienced lighthouse keepers simply ceased to exist. Theories emerged: a rogue wave, a supernatural entity, mass psychological breakdown, a murder-suicide, but the evidence contradicts all of them. The door locked from inside suggests they didn't leave voluntarily. Yet they disappeared nonetheless. The most haunting theory comes from paranormal historians. Something called them out into the storm. Something they couldn't resist. Something they abandoned their duties for, and they never returned. The lighthouse still stands today, still warns ships away from the rocks, still casts its beam across dark water. And on stormy nights, locals report seeing 3 figures walking the cliffs of a landmoor, searching, always searching. Still trapped by whatever took them that December night in 1900. This historical mysteries remains unsolved, unexplained, and eternally unresolved. Historical mysteries remind us that the past is never truly past. It lingers, it haunts, it demands to be understood. Yet some mysteries refuse understanding. They exist to teach us a harder lesson, that not everything can be explained. Not everything should be. These historical mysteries cases remain unsolved because sometimes the horror isn't in the answer. It's in the not knowing. What historical mysteries case would you like us to explore next? Tell us in the comments below. We are the Narrative Bloom, where forgotten history becomes unforgettable terror.